Welcome to our channel. Today, Mr. Mind is taking you into the fascinating world of psychology to uncover 18 tips on how to read anyone's mind instantly. You see, folks, the way people communicate goes way beyond words. Their body language, their tone of voice, even the way they look at you can tell a whole story. We're talking about unlocking a whole new level of communication, folks. Let's get started. Number 1. Eye contact is a powerful tool in understanding someone's thoughts and feelings. It can reveal confidence, interest, and even deception. Pay attention to how long the other person is maintaining eye contact. If their eyes frequently swipe right or left while you are talking, it probably indicates their lack of interest and they might want to leave. You already know what the death stare from your mom means. Shakespeare has a famous quote, "Eyes are the window to the soul." I'm sure you must have heard it. It suggests that you can tell how a person feels by looking into their eyes. Next, eyebrows. The subtle movements of eyebrows can reveal much about a person's thoughts and feelings. When someone does an eyebrow flash, you'll typically see their eyebrows raise slightly for less than 1/5 of a second. What it means? The eyebrow raise is a great sign of interest. Can you tell if this person is curious, angry, or surprised based on the eyebrows? Frequent nodding. Nodding your head can be a sign of agreement, right? It's a way of saying, yes, I hear you. But here's the thing, folks. Excessive nodding can actually be a sign of insecurity, a need for validation. Someone who's constantly nodding might be trying too hard to please, to agree with everything you say. They might not be as confident as they appear. In other words, it also conveys acknowledgement, like, yes, I understand, or I get it. Number 4, paralanguage. Do you know there's a whole science behind the way we speak? It's called paralanguage, and it's all about the nonverbal cues that accompany our words. We're talking tone of voice, pitch, speed, even the pauses and hesitations. All of these things can reveal a lot about what someone's really thinking and feeling. A sarcastic tone can completely change the meaning of a sentence, right? So pay attention to the music of their voice, folks. See, guys, mind reading is an art. To become an artist, you must learn how to observe and analyze these cues to understand what the other person is thinking. There are indications, one of which is posture. Our next tip. Guys, your posture determines your confidence level. You ever notice how some people just seem to command attention when they walk into a room? They stand up straight, shoulders back, head held high. That's confident posture, folks. It conveys a sense of self-assurance, of authority. On the other hand, someone who's slouching, shoulders hunched, avoiding eye contact, they're signaling insecurity, maybe even fear. The way someone carries themselves can tell you a lot about their self-esteem, their state of mind. So, pay close attention to those nonverbal cues, folks. Next, we have handshake. We've all been there, folks. You meet someone for the first time and you go in for a handshake. But there's a whole lot more to that handshake than you might think. It can actually reveal a lot about a person's personality and intentions. Let's start with the dead fish, limp, lifeless, like shaking hands with a wet sock. That's a sign of weakness, folks. Lack of confidence, maybe even disinterest. Then there's the bone crusher. They grip your hand so freaking tight you think they might break your fingers. The best handshake is firm and confident, but not overpowering. The 8th way to read anyone's mind is by observing the tone. You know, folks, tone of voice is everything. You can say the exact same words in 100 different ways, and they'll convey 100 different meanings. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. Think about it. I'm fine can mean everything from I'm actually doing great to I'm about to lose it. A sarcastic tone, a playful tone, a frustrated tone, they all change the entire meaning of the message. Tune into their tone of voice. It's a dead giveaway to their true feelings. The next technique we have on the list is side glances. Have you ever caught someone sneaking a side glance at you? Don't ignore it, folks. Those fleeting looks can reveal a lot about what someone's really thinking. A side glance can mean different things in different contexts. If you're in a meeting and someone keeps glancing at their watch, they're probably bored or anxious to leave. But if you're chatting with someone and they keep stealing glances at you, it could be a sign of attraction. On the other hand, a side glance can also be a sign of suspicion or distrust. So pay attention to those side glances, folks. Here comes the easiest cue to read anyone's mind: gestures. You know, folks, our hands are like little storytellers. They're constantly moving, gesturing, emphasizing our words. And those gestures can reveal a lot about what we're thinking and feeling. Someone who's feeling confident might use broad, expansive gestures. They're taking up space, commanding attention. On the other hand, someone who's feeling insecure might fidget with their hands, wring their hands, or keep them hidden in their pockets. And then there are the liars. They often use gestures that contradict their words. Did someone just cross your mind? Moving on, the next trick in line is called mirroring. You ever notice how when you're really connecting with someone, you start to mirror their body language? You cross your legs when they cross theirs. You lean in when they lean in. It's called mirroring, folks. And it's a subconscious sign of rapport. When we like someone, we unconsciously mimic their behavior. It's our way of building a connection, of saying, hey, we're on the same wavelength, or in simpler words, we are so alike. When you subtly mirror someone's body language, it creates a sense of trust and connection. So if you ever notice someone mirroring your language, know that they might like you. Now folks, this one's a little harder to spot, but it's a fascinating insight into the human brain. Our pupils don't just react to light, they also respond to our emotions. When we see something we like, our pupils dilate. They get bigger. If you're talking to someone and you notice their pupils getting larger, it could be a sign that they're attracted to you or interested in what you're saying. On the other hand, when we see something we don't like, our pupils constrict. They get smaller. You know, folks, fidgeting is like the body's way of saying, I'm uncomfortable. It's a sign of nervousness, anxiety, or just plain restlessness. When we fidget, we're releasing pent-up energy, trying to soothe ourselves. Some people tap their feet, others click their pens, and some folks just can't seem to sit still. Fidgeting is usually a sign that something's not quite right. You know, folks, we don't often think about our breath, but it's one of the most telling signs of our emotional state. When we're stressed, anxious, or afraid, our breathing tends to become shallow and rapid. On the other hand, when we're relaxed, calm, and at ease, our breathing slows down and deepens. So, if you're trying to read someone, pay attention to their breath. Their breathing pattern can give you a clue into their emotional state. You know, folks, we all have those moments where we stumble over our words, where we pause to gather our thoughts. But the way someone pauses during a conversation can actually reveal a lot about their thought process and their emotional state. Someone who's lying might pause frequently, trying to come up with a believable story. They might also repeat themselves, trying to buy time. On the other hand, someone who's telling the truth is more likely to speak fluidly, with natural pauses for emphasis. Pay attention to those pauses, folks. Thanks for watching. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more fascinating insights into human behavior. Remember, folks, understanding body language is like having a superpower. It allows you to see beyond the surface, to understand the unspoken messages people are sending. Now, I'm not saying you should go around analyzing every twitch and blink, but if you start paying attention to these subtle cues, you'll be amazed at what you can learn about the people around you. You'll become a better communicator, a better listener, and a more insightful judge of character. See you next time.